July of 1991 was a big year for me. I had just seen Terminator 2 Judgment Day, Point Break was coming out, Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey was coming out, and one of my favorite rappers of all time was about to be in his first film.
Growing up, these were some of my favorite movies. I think I watched them until the tapes ran out. That's not me, by the way. That's just some random stock footage kid. This is me. I'm in my 40s now. Join me as I go back and watch these movies through adult eyes and hopefully don't wreck my childhood in the process. This is New Thoughts on Old Stuff.
It just goes on and on, you know. Either they don't know, don't show, don't care about what's going on in the hood.
Oh my gosh, I remember this weekend vividly. Like I said, I had just seen Terminator 2, amazing. I had learned that Ice Cube was going to be in this movie called Boyz N The Hood. At the time, he had just left NWA and he had released America's Most Wanted. I would listen to that album over and over and over again. So I was super hyped up when he was coming out in this movie. So I remember asking my parents, could I go see this movie? And they were like, no. And I was so mad, and I never really knew why. And I just couldn't understand at the time why I couldn't see it. What was the big deal, right?
From ABC News, World News Saturday, here's Carol Simpson.
Good evening. A Chicago man was killed and 20 other people were wounded in disturbances around the country last night. Disturbances linked to the opening of a movie called Boyz N The Hood.
Gunshots erupted just minutes before the movie started last night in Universal City, California. 5 young men were wounded. Today, the theater in Universal City in Los Angeles pulled Boyz N The Hood from its lineup.
Boyz N The Hood opened on Friday, July 12, 1991. It opened up in 837 screens across the country. By the end of the opening weekend, 2 people were killed and 30 other moviegoers were injured. Okay, I could see why they didn't want me to see this movie. There was a lot of violence surrounding it. However, the trailer that came out with it really played it up that way, and that's not what the movie's all about. Because of time constraints, I didn't show you the full trailer, but let me give you a brief overview of the film. We open with our main character, Trey, who is a know-it-all kind of kid with a bit of an attitude. While he's giving the class a lesson on how all civilization came from Africa, this happens.
I'm from Africa, you from Africa, you African booty scratcher.
A fight breaks out. Trey's single mom gets the call and tells Trey,
"You're moving with your auntie and uncle in Bel Air."
Just kidding. He moves in with his father, Furious Styles. We meet the other 2 main characters, Doughboy and Ricky, see Trey's love interest, Brandy, for the first time. We get to see Trey and his father have the talk.
What do you know about sex?
I know a little bit.
And he gets home just in time to see Doughboy hauled off to juvenile hall. We time jump 7 years. Ricky has a baby, Doughboy just got out of jail, and Trey has a super dope shirt. And we see his love interest for the second time. The bad guys are introduced, and from there on, we see how decisions will affect each of their lives. This is one film I never got to see in the theater. I remember renting it in March, which was about 8 months later, from my local video store. I remember being genuinely shocked because the amount of gang violence that's in the movie is very minute. At its core, it's a coming-of-age story for 3 young men growing up in an area that gets overlooked because of economics, and a story about a father trying to teach his son to make good decisions and keep him safe, which is what every good parent does, and exactly what my parents were doing when they didn't want me to go see this at the movies. A good amount of the public blamed John Singleton for the violence. He was 24, fresh out of college. In defense of the film, Singleton said, "I didn't create the conditions under which people shoot each other. This happens because there's a whole generation of people who are disenfranchised. If he's guilty of anything, it's for giving us a window to look through and see a fantasy that is a reality for many people day in and day out. In spite of all the controversy, Singleton was nominated for Best Director and Best Writing. He was the youngest and first black director to be nominated. While he didn't win, the ripples from his work are still felt today. Ice Cube wrote a song that accompanied this movie called How to Survive in South Central. In it, he speaks of gun violence and drugs and gangs. The line that always sticks out to me the most in that song is when he says, "You say the strong survive, shit, the strong even die in South Central." Singleton opens the film with some interesting information. 1 out of every 21 black American males will be murdered in their lifetime. Most will die at the hands of another black male. The next shot after that is a stop sign, which I feel is symbolism for what he's trying to achieve. At the close of the movie, he writes, "Increase the peace." It was a great bit of advice for all of us to take away by the film's end. I just wish it was advice we could have all followed just 1 month later in April.